Welcome to the Event Connection, where we explore the stories, trends, and unforgettable moments that are shaping our industry. We'll uncover the human side of events and celebrate the power of engagement and connection, all while having a little fun. This podcast is produced by PC Nametag.
Welcome to episode 5 of the Event Connection, and today we are super excited because we have a guest from Anime Milwaukee here. His name's Kris, and he's on the event planning team for Anime Milwaukee, and we're really excited to talk to him. We're going to get into all the nitty-gritty details about your role with Anime Milwaukee, but just as a little teaser, Anime Milwaukee is Wisconsin's largest anime convention, and this past year it brought in about 18,000 attendees. Is that right?
Yeah,
right
about 18,000.
Awesome. That's amazing. And so we're going to chat about a lot of different things today. So we're going to talk about what goes into planning a convention, how to keep attendees engaged, which is something that you guys do such a good job of. We're going to talk a little bit about badge ribbons because, of course, we have to. And something I think a lot of event planners can relate to, which is just like the pressure of feeling like you have to constantly one-up yourself and how you kind of like mentally deal with that. So we'll get to that too. But welcome. So happy that you're here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. It's our pleasure. So I want to start out getting to know you a little bit more. So would you tell me about your role with Anime Milwaukee? So what's your title? What do you do?
Yeah, so like my professional, like formal title in my email signature is Convention Chairperson. So I'm kind of like the head person in charge. So I oversee all of the directors and the managers and the planning of the event and everything that kind of goes into it throughout the year. And then at con, I'm kind of like the shot caller when it comes to like final decisions on things, or if anything goes wrong, I'm the person that does all the incident reports and talking to like if we need to pull a badge or something, like I'm the one that has to have the final sign off. So I like to joke around and say that like my actual title is like creative problem solver and professional cat herder.
Yes.
Because there's just so many things that go into it that I'm kind of just having to project manager.
Yeah, definitely. You were saying before we started recording that you kind of have to be like the everything, like the end decision maker kind of for everything. So it's constantly just making like tiny little decisions that is a stressful job.
It is very stressful. It's also, I'm really grateful to have like a really good team underneath me. So I have like my vice chairs and my executive secretary. Shout out to Jessica. She's great. I would lose my mind without her. She's the one that pokes me like, hey, have you responded to this email yet?
We all need that person.
Oh my God. She's like the best person. But like, she's my second brain at con and previous to con. At con, she makes sure I eat.
Yeah.
Which is
that's important too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's crazy. That's so cool though. And I think a lot of event planners, like we have a lot of more corporate meeting planners and stuff that listen to this, but I think they would all relate to that experience of just constantly just thinking, making decisions, forgetting things. And yeah, it's crazy.
Would lose my head if it wasn't attached.
Yeah, absolutely. I certainly would. I don't know how you guys do it, honestly. So, and how long have you been in your position with Anime Milwaukee?
So I've been in the convention chair position for, this is going into my third convention year. I've been with Anime Milwaukee itself since 2019.
Gotcha.
So this will be going on 6.5, 7 years. Okay.
And was Anime Milwaukee kind of your first time doing event planning, or were you into it previously before that?
No, I've actually, it's really funny. I have been an event organizer since I was 16.
Oh, wow.
My very first convention ever was this really small little college con called UBCon in Buffalo, New York. That's where I grew up.
Gotcha.
And they've been good. Like I actually just went back this year, and they've been doing it for 34 years. But I went with my friends, and I was supposed to just attend. And I cannot do that. I learned I can't do that. So I went up to the registration person and I was like, this could be done better. Because I was 16 and I thought I knew everything. And I was, I went up to them and I was like, this and this and this and this, you should change this for next year. It'll be a lot better if you did it this way. And they were like, yeah, cool. Do you want to do that?
Sweet. Absolutely.
And I've just kind of been in the event planning world, like the anime convention planning world ever since, because I can't attend.
Right.
I can't do it. I always end up getting involved somehow.
Yeah, that's got to be a little stressful sometimes. That's so interesting. I think especially with cons, it seems like the people who end up involved in planning were attendees for sure, who just kind of like naturally evolved into being involved in organizing it too. But yeah, it's kind of fun that way though. It's definitely a passionate space.
Yeah. In the anime convention running world, there's this running joke that like, you know, you attend a convention and then you staff 1 year.
Yeah.
And then you're con staff forever.
Uh-huh.
And then you kind of get pulled into other conventions because you meet people that are doing other things. And so I've been able to travel the country working other conventions through that one tiny little Buffalo con, which is really neat.
That's so cool. I remember the first time we talked, this was, so a little background, we PC Name Tag sponsored and exhibited at Anime Milwaukee. So we've been in touch for a while now. And I remember when we first chatted, you were talking about how there's like a Discord of just anime event planners. Like it's a very tight knit group, it sounds like. So, which is kind of fun, but yeah, it's a small world. It seems like
it's very, very small. Like there's not a lot of us, like, especially at the higher levels.
Yeah.
We all kind of have to share knowledge because we say like ships raised together with the tide.
A little bit more about Anime Milwaukee, because you were telling me again before we started recording something kind of interesting about Anime Milwaukee. It kind of started as like a student organization thing. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So Anime Milwaukee, I believe, started in 2007. Oh my goodness, 2007 as a small college con. It was like maybe 200-300 people, very, very small. And then it very quickly grew into this situation where we'd outgrown our convention like space in the college, and so we transferred to downtown Milwaukee, and I think we were in the Hyatt for a little bit, just the Hyatt Regency that's attached to the convention center now, and then we moved to the convention center, and now we take up 2 hotels the entire convention center. But the thing that I love about Anime Milwaukee is that, like, even though I've only been with the organization since 2019, it hasn't lost that college feel. It's very community based. Everybody's super kind to each other. Everybody still has that nerdy passion that like you get at the smaller conventions, even though we've kind of grown into like this large to like mid-sized to large convention. We're not small by any means anymore, but we still feel small in the community aspect of it.
Yeah, definitely. I could even see that just being there. Everyone was just like so kind, and it felt very community based. And like the Facebook page too, I think like people are always like, I don't know, willing to help each other out with like little things that people post about. It's very wholesome. I love that. Could you tell me a little bit about like the economic impact of Anime Milwaukee? Like how many people attend from other states? Like how many hotels do you get involved in, like sell out, that kind of thing?
So we completely sell out the Hyatt and the Hilton and the Spring Hill.
Yeah.
Spring Hill. I'm really bad.
I think that's right.
Spring Hill Suites. Right. It sounds right. So we completely sell out those 3 hotels because they're connected to the convention center. And then we have hotel room blocks at 10 different hotels around the city. The last time we had an economic impact study done, I believe it was like $6 to $8 million into the Milwaukee area in the weekend that we're there. So that's not a small number.
Yeah, not at all.
And we do try to, like, we send out a press release to, like, everybody, like, hey, just a heads up, like, this is happening. There's going to be a whole bunch of people running around Naruto running in crazy amounts of costumes. Like, you may see a person in full riot gear. They're just the thought police. It's fine.
Yep.
And so that's always fun to explain. And then for out of state people, we have like 70% of our attendees are like at least from within Wisconsin themselves. But we get about 30% of our attendees come from out of state, out of country. We have a couple of visitors last year. I think we saw from the UK, Mexico, Canada. We had a couple of visitors from Japan because they really wanted to see the Japanese guests that we brought. So we had a couple people come in from Japan to see the Japanese guests that we brought, which I think is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Like, you came all the way to America. Yeah. But yeah, no, we do see pretty healthy attendance from outside of the state, which I think is really nice.
For sure. That's really cool. And I was saying before too, like when the people that we talked to when we were exhibiting were saying that Anime Milwaukee, like we heard a lot that Anime Milwaukee is one of their favorite cons that they attend every year. So, and I'm not just saying that. People were really excited about it. So I think that's really cool. It's cool to have that in Milwaukee. We're all like, you know, local Wisconsin people. So always good to hear. That's so cool. Something I know that is so critical to the success of cons is creating spaces and opportunities for attendees to kind of meet others with similar interests. Because it's a lot of like people's personalities are so different. You have people who are super introverted, super extroverted, kind of all over the spectrum. So how do you kind of generally approach this when it comes to programming, like making sure that there's stuff for anyone to do, no matter what their interest might be or what their personality type might be?
Yeah. So that's really interesting. And I really have to give all of the credit to our like programming division.
Yeah.
We have an entire, probably half of, I don't want to say like half of our staff, but like a solid, like 30% of our staff is within the programming division. And we have a main programming department. We have a panels department, a cosplay events department. We have kids programming. So we have people that are in charge of just kids programming. We have gaming, which I think is really fun. And their entire job is to just create different kinds of programming. And so we have something called fan panels. So this is actually really unique to like anime conventions and fandom conventions in general, in that we allow attendees to submit the things that they're interested in presenting to other attendees.
Yeah.
So we do, one of the things that we actually added as a whole department this year was actually run by a fan for, 10 years almost. Her name is Pytris. She's great. She run a swap meet. So people that were interested in like offloading some of their previous anime merch could come to the swap meet and like kind of do their own little individual vendor hall. Our kids programming, we teach kids how to play D&D, and then there's crafts the whole weekend. One of our signature events is called Cosplay Combat Chess. So we have open auditions for the pawn pieces. And it's something that Anime Milwaukee has been doing for 11 years now, where there's this 11-year running storyline. Wow.
That's impressive.
And oh my gosh, Ellie and Winston, and I believe his name is Patrick. He's since no longer with the convention, but he still helps behind the scenes. They are incredible. They come up with the scripts, they block the scenes. It is a full-scale production, and then they hold auditions for cosplayers to come, and they have like they do rehearsals, and there's this giant chessboard on the floor, and we stream it from above so you can see all the chess pieces. There's an overlay. It's really, really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Such
like,
a fun idea.
I'm so proud of them. Like it's unique to Milwaukee. Like other conventions do some type of it, but we were the first ones, so it's ours.
Yeah, absolutely. 11 years, that's a long time.
Yeah. The other thing that we do is something called meetups. So if people are in specific types of cosplay, so like we'll take One Piece, for example. It's one of the longest running animes in history. It's over 1,000 episodes right now. It is a beast.
Crazy.
We'll host a session where you can come and get your picture taken with all of the other people that are cosplaying in One Piece. So even if you're like an introvert, you can still come and you don't have to make friends. They're already there for you. You're already dressed in your Zoro cosplay. Zoro cosplay. And you can take pictures with like Luffy and Nami and
the reindeer
Sanji.
guy.
Yeah, the reindeer guy. His name is Toady Chopper.
Yes. They just like had a little teaser for what he's going to look like in the live action.
Horrifying.
Yeah, a little bit. He was cute though. I don't know.
Cute. Like they learned from Sonic.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my God.
That was a disaster.
That was a disaster. That's so funny. I think that's really cool though, because it's like, yeah, introverts can go to that kind of thing and they like know, okay, everyone likes One Piece. I love One Piece. I can like talk to these people about my interests. That's so valid. And we haven't really like touched on badge ribbons yet, but I think that kind of like is part of the reason why people love badge ribbons so much too, is because you can have all these like references for your favorite fandoms, and people can kind of like at a glance be like, oh, I get that reference. I know that. I can talk to them about this thing. But yeah, I love that so much. It's so cool. You guys, something I haven't even talked about is you have 24-hour programming too.
Oh, yeah,
which
sure
is
do.
That's crazy. I think that's very unique to cons. I can't think of any other type of event that does that.
No.
Like, how do you even do that? Like, do you have
We tend to do like specifically for like the panel programming. I think we only do panel programming till like 2 or 3 a.m.
Okay,
That's
only
still
only
really,
2 or 3
really early. Yeah. This year we had to plan until I think 4 a.m. because daylight savings time happened, so we had to make
Right.
up for it. But we have all ages content until about 9 p.m. And then anybody that wants to do like an 18 plus panel, so something that, you know, you can swear in or you can play like Jackbox games or,
I love that.
you know, do like some of the like bad fan fiction readings.
Love that.
Oh, it's one of my favorite panels every year is to just see what kind of heinous things people have found on the internet to read together. And it's a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's tons of that.
So we do 18 plus panel programming from like 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. So we only do it in that block of time because it's just easier to, you know, make sure that we don't have small children walking into a panel that they really should not be in.
Yeah, that's a really good consideration too, because there was an event I had heard of recently that kind of went viral on TikTok where they hadn't communicated the fact that there were going to be kids at the con. And so some of the vendors had brought like 18 plus like fan art and like sculptures and stuff that they had made. And then there's like little kids walking around. And yeah, like having that distinguishing factor between
we have rules about that in our exhibit hall. Like, you're allowed to bring that stuff, but if you're bringing like explicit content, you have to cover the things. And you like there's
like stickers.
Yeah, there's a specific vendor that brings something called the Smut Hut. Yeah, so he literally builds a hut that you can go into, and that's where the 18 that you have to have an ID to get in, and that kind of helps.
Yeah. Like regulate that a little bit. That's a good idea. Yeah, I know it's like very common, but it's good to have some guidelines around that for sure. Something else that I thought was really cool about Anime Milwaukee, and I'm not sure if you guys always do this, but I loved that you had a cottagecore theme. That's like I'm gonna pull up the badge really quick, but you can see there's this little frog and mushroom character on the lanyard. I kind of bumped my microphone there, but then like your little characters and stuff are wearing like cottagecore themed things and all of that. So I was curious, like, do you guys always do a theme, and if so, like, how do you get people to be kind of involved in it?
We at least try to have a theme every year. Our attendees have come to expect it. So sometimes 2-3 years in advance, we'll even sit down and we'll talk and we'll be like, okay, we need to come up with a theme.
Right.
And we decided at our directors summit every year. And so we do have a theme. We haven't announced this year's theme yet because we have something cooler coming up that we need to announce first, and then we can announce the theme. And our attendees are actually big mad about that. Every single social media post we have is like, where's the theme?
I've noticed that actually. That's why I was like, are you guys so I don't want to like pry, but
no, we are. We do a theme every year, or at least we have since I've been with Anime Milwaukee. And that's not to say that I'm the cause of the themes. I'm not. It's just my recollection is we've always had one. So this year's theme was cottagecore. The year before that, I believe, was villains. And then the year before that was like magical girls. So we did like a Sailor Moon kind of thing. Yeah. But this year it was, we did cottagecore and we went all in. Yeah. We were like, well, I really love cottagecore, and everybody else on the team really, really loves cottagecore. It was very popular. So if you look at Millie and Walker, who are our two main mascots, we had them completely redesigned in like the cottagecore style, and we gave them a frog friend, and the frog was not supposed to at all, for the record, be any part. It was just supposed to be like a really cool background character. And nope. The attendees loved the frog. Everybody on the marketing team loved the frog. So the frog is everywhere. We had a ribbon donation frog. We had I
was gonna say we could pull up there's the sign, the badge ribbon donation frog. Yeah. It was a little guy.
On the back of our manager hoodies that we did was the frog, and people wanted the frog hoodie so badly that we took the word manager off of it and then sold it as just its own hoodie, and that has been the most popular merchandise we've ever sold.
That's awesome. I mean, frogs are so cute. There were like I noticed also like a lot of So this is, again, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see there's about 90 ribbons attached to this ribbon donation frog that people were just like going up and attaching badge ribbons kind of throughout the whole con. And we ended up with it, which was very sweet. But there's like a lot of frog themed ribbons too.
Yeah.
There's
They came prepared.
Like frog confirmed. This one was good. Yeah. So definitely prepared. So the attendees and the vendors kind of both like get involved with the theme quite a bit.
Yep. We advertise it on our social media platforms, and you know, some of them they don't necessarily take off so well. Like the villains one was not necessarily like the attendees didn't really attach themselves. Like this year was crazy.
Yeah.
They went all out. We had a couple people on staff that literally cosplayed Millie herself.
Yeah.
It was really cool to see.
That's so cool. I saw people dressed like walking around dressed in like mushroom, like big mushroom hats, which was super cute. But I was surprised how many people it seemed like were like getting super on board with the theme.
Yeah, I really hope they're going to do the same thing for this year's theme. I'm really excited for it once we can announce it.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a theme coming if
you're
listening.
I promise there's a theme coming.
That's so fun. I'm curious how, because it's interesting to me, like Anime Milwaukee this year was back in March, like beginning of March. And I still see like the Facebook page is super active. People are constantly engaging with it. And, it's only a yearly event. So I'm assuming the next one's next year, February or March. How do you kind of keep people excited and engaged? Like you kind of talked about, you have planned announcements throughout the year too. Are there other things that you're doing to kind of keep people excited and looking forward to the next one?
So we tend to do like, because we have, I think we had 20 guests last year. We do guest announcements, and we talk about like, hey, the panel applications are now open. The vendor applications are now open. The artist applications are open. And it's really just the attendees themselves are so excited about Anime Milwaukee that any update that we provide them is just excited, and it gets them hyped. Even I think we announced that like our tier 1 badge price was closing, and we got like 20, 30 comments on that. And it was just, hey, when is the next one? Are you guys going to announce guests soon? When do the hotel blocks drop? Like the hotel blocks will be dropped by the time this comes out, but it's, the first weekend of June. You can expect the first weekend of June, and people just plan their day around these hotel drops. So I guess we're kind of in a very different position than a lot of other event organizers that like struggle to keep up with engagement, and that like our attendees are really the ones that drive the engagement. We give them the content to react to, right? But they
get excited about it.
They just get excited about it, and they talk to each other, and they're like, let's coordinate these. Let's coordinate cosplays together. Hey, I'm trying to get a group together to do Sailor Moon. I want all of the sailors, Sailor Scouts together, or I want to go. Like Oron High School Host Club is tragedy in that it should have gotten a second season and it didn't, and I'm still mad about it.
I hate
like
that.
12 years later.
Yeah.
But like they're like, hey, I want a group of, and they'll just talk to each other about their shared love of like cosplay and anime, or hey, did you see that this anime got posted? Or hey, let's talk about season 2.
Yeah.
And then another thing that we do is we work with the city to, hey, you guys have a Sailor Moon in concert coming up. Let's do a collaboration together. Let's do a ticket giveaway on our page, and we'll give you guys some tickets to give away to the attendees that go to the show.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, so collaborating with different event organizers, like we'll do roadshow things too. So we'll go to other anime conventions and promote our con at their con.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Like at Anime Milwaukee, there were quite a few booths there that was like Anime Nebraska and like Anime Central. There's a lot of people there from all the different anime cons, which is so fun. That makes it.
It's really funny because there's so many staff that overlap.
Yeah.
So we're just like, we're talking to ourselves again. Or like, hey, how are you? Or, oh, this one's coming up. How's the planning going? And we'll have like convention runner meetups at the anime conventions themselves. So there's a little mini con inside of the anime con that most of the attendees don't even know about is happening.
Absolutely. That's a good idea though. If you're all going to be together, why not?
Right? Why not? put out some appetizers, have an open bar, and just relax for like an hour.
Yeah, everyone needs that, I'm sure.
But we'll drum up excitement there. Like, hey, follow us on social media. We're doing this giveaway. Or hey, here's the special. See us at this convention. And then it's kind of like a cross promotion, kind of giving them that kind of thing.
Awesome. That's really cool. Do you have kind of like channels that you stick to when it comes to like the big announcements? Like I'm assuming everything goes up on the website. I think you guys have like little newsletters that go out and articles and stuff. But other than that, where do people like find all the big updates?
So we announce everything on Facebook, Instagram, our Discord, Blue Sky. I think we still announce on the artist formerly known as Twitter.
I feel like a lot of smaller events, like they kind of bite off more than they can chew when it comes to like how many different platforms they're on and things like that. And it's even like a huge event, you still kind of have like your dedicated channel. So we try to like encourage people to not try to think that they need 20 different ways to communicate with their guests.
We post everything on the website first, and then everything links back to the website. The website is always the single source of truth. Yeah. And one thing that we employ at Anime Milwaukee is we have a social media like management platform. I think it's called Buffer.
Okay. Yeah.
And so we have one post, and Buffer takes care of posting it to all the other things. So it like simulcasts. And
yeah, that's super nice too.
We have a social media manager. Her name is Kimmy. She's great, fantastic. Love her.
Yeah.
Does such a good job. And she manages to make sure that she schedules all the posts. Her social media calendar in like the 2 months leading up to con is honestly a masterpiece.
I can only imagine.
She's like, if there's not a form and you don't see it on the calendar, it's not happening.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? I will enforce that for you.
Respect. That's awesome. I love what you said too about like people and the attendees, once they get excited about the theme or like the cosplay that they're going to do or the meetups, they kind of do the promotion for you. Cause I think that's another thing that like corporate events can kind of learn from a little bit. Cause like obviously people don't maybe get as excited about like a corporate event as they would something that, you know, aligns with their passions and stuff. But we have seen corporate events do themes and it actually works really well for them. Like they'll do like an 80s theme and then all the attendees will get really excited about it and they'll be like, oh, maybe I'll dress up, maybe I'll do this. And it does get people talking about it a lot more when you just have some kind of vibe that people can like latch onto and not just the same thing year after year, but something that changes and can kind of get people excited ahead of time.
I have I work in the corporate world, obviously, like my real day job. And back when I was in college, I got the very unique opportunity to attend the Grace Hopper celebration event, and it was down in Florida. And it's women in IT. Yeah. And this was before I transitioned, obviously.
Yeah.
Because I do not belong in that space anymore.
Fair enough.
But one thing that they did that was really interesting was they utilized their platform. They had an app and you could go on and you could like arrange meetups and stuff like that to like talk about specific subjects. And I think that was really an interesting use of utilizing the technology that they had to create those things. Cause otherwise it was just a whole bunch of people sitting there listening to a speaker
over and over again. Yeah. Kind of like mindlessly walking to the next room to listen to
you have to give attendees opportunities to create spaces for themselves within your own event. Like we're an anime convention. We are not necessarily a K-pop convention, but you best bet that we give the K-pop stands a place to go and do their K-pop random dances.
Right.
Like it's going to happen anyway.
Something I have to ask about, we've talked about a little bit in the past, is the Polkalator. So I just think it's such a fun story.
Okay. The Polkalator was an art installation at the Baird Center. It was called the Wisconsin Center, and now it's the Baird Center after they completed the expansion. But because they were doing the expansion and because they were updating and modernizing, they took down the art installation. And our attendees were very upset because the Polkalator itself was an art installation attached to an escalator. And the escalator goes from the main hall of the convention center up to the skywalk that connects to our host hotel, the Hilton. And at either end of the escalator, there was a button and it just said, push for polka.
So Wisconsin.
Yes. And I did not know what to do with it when I first saw it. Like, I was like, what do you mean you have a polka escalator? What is that? So we named it the Polkalator.
Yeah,
okay, Anime Milwaukee is the one that named it the Polkalator.
I thought it was officially called that. So that just goes to show how well you branded it.
But it was the history of polka, I believe, was the name of the art exhibition. And it was, you could go down and listen to polka and there were like little plaques that told you the history of polka in, I don't know if it was necessarily in Wisconsin. I never had time to read it, so I'm so sorry.
That's fair.
But our attendees, there's this urban legend that our attendees, because we're a 24-hour con, played it on repeat for like 20 hours or something like that, to the point that one of the security guards left their shift and then quit because they couldn't listen to the same 5 tracks over and over again anymore. And I'm not entirely sure if that actually happened or not.
I would believe it. I mean,
I would
choose
quit
to believe it.
But so when we got word that the Polkalator was being taken down, we announced it to our attendees because they got upset about the skywalk coming down for the construction, but like the Polkalator was beloved.
I'm sure. It's like a death, like in the community.
Yeah. So the first year that they took it down officially, we were like, people were so upset. We were like, okay, we're gonna have a memorial.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna do this on Thursday of con before the convention even starts. We're gonna have this memorial. It's just gonna be a couple of the people from the convention and whoever wants to come. We made a little Facebook group for it. We didn't really promote it. But we made a little Facebook group for it, and we were like, hey, we're going to have a little Polkalator memorial gathering, and we made a little Rest in Polka.
Yeah, that like poster board?
The poster board. And it was supposed to come down, and somebody just kind of forgot.
I know. I was going to say, it was there for most of the weekend.
Yeah, and so there's this little space in between the escalator where you can put a runner, and we put a QR code that said scan here for polka. And it went to a 10-hour Hatsune Miku remix of polka's anime song, like polka remixed anime songs. So it was like all of your favorite like anime theme songs, but in polka style.
That's perfect.
It was great. And we didn't have to do anything. It was already existed on YouTube, so we just linked it.
Yeah. They were probably like, why am I getting all these views?
Right. So we did not expect it to take off. We thought maybe 5 people are going to show up to this. We advertised that there was going to be a badge ribbon there.
Yeah.
And 200 people showed up.
That sounds about right.
They were, and we were like, can we have a moment of silence for the Polkalator? And then somebody brought an accordion. We were like, okay, cool. That's done. It's over with. The polkas. No, they cosplayed the Polkalator.
Like, I saw that too. I did see someone cosplay.
2 different people, 2 years in a row, 2 completely separate people we asked. And so there was that. And then they were like, well, when's the memorial happening this year? And we were like, what do you mean the memorial this year? It was just I guess we're doing a memorial every year. So now there's a Polkalator memorial, and it will never
live on. Yeah. I was going to say, it's just so fun. It's like just dumb little things like that.
Right.
I think that really like bring people together, because it's just this weird in joke that no one else like outside of the Anime Milwaukee community would ever like understand. And I love that. I think
come for the anime, stay for the polka.
Yeah. Like, who would have thought that would go over so well?
Yeah, no, it's now just become a part of AMKE.
You talked about meetups. Obviously, I feel like badge ribbons kind of tie into all of that. Could you talk a little bit about like the badge ribbon game that you did, and like how you guys got like vendors and sponsors to kind of be involved with that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a little bit about that.
So we have, and it's really interesting because some anime conventions are not at all. You can go to an anime convention and there will be absolutely no badge ribbons, or there are badge ribbons. And we are a badge ribbon con. And because you can do so many different things with badge ribbons, you can say so many things, you can do so many inside jokes. Like, people will have like their names, like cosplayers can, sign their names on them. Like, hey, I saw whoever at this convention, or at the Anime Milwaukee, or
like little blank spaces and stuff. Or...
Yeah, no, I have one that says I found the con chair, because if you find me at the convention, like, I'm just one person in 18,000, but like, people make it their mission to come and find me because they know I have an I found the con chair badge, and it's like a badge of honor. So they we have this form that you can fill out before you get there, and we post it in our guidebook, and we tell them like, hey, if you have a badge ribbon, you can tell us about it and it'll go into this master list. And if it's something like, hey, you have to do a task to get this, or you just have to find me or whatever it is, we advertise it in advance, and it becomes a game almost of like who can get the most badge ribbons. And we're not even like the worst of the worst when it comes to that kind of culture. Like there are a couple of conventions where people will literally have like 4 or 5 stories.
Yeah, Dragon Con is a big one.
Yeah, Dragon Con is a crazy. Like people will literally drop their badge ribbon roll from like the 3rd story and it will hit the floor on the ground. And I'm just like,
it's crazy.
How do you carry that? It seems so heavy.
I know. They have like duct tape running along the back. It's crazy. And people will start like building like horizontally out on their badge ribbon stacks and stuff like that. It was pretty crazy how many badge ribbons people ended up with, even at Anime Milwaukee, because we had at our booth, we had like a banner where you could measure how long your stack was. And I think it went down to like 70 or no, like 60 ribbons maybe. That was like the maximum. And then we were giving like achievement ribbons out for how long your stack was. And people like kept coming back and they'd measure their stack, and people like went well beyond that. So it got to be pretty huge even at Anime Milwaukee. But it's just so fun. And I loved the different like gamification things that people were doing. Like some vendors were like, bring me a bag of chips and then I'll give you this ribbon, like little things like that. But it's kind of a good idea because you don't really get a chance to leave your booth. So
yeah, some of the artists do what's called a stamp rally, where they will partner up with other artists that are going to be at the convention, and it helps them promote their business, but also it gives the attendees a reason to like come to the artist alley, where you can go to each individual artist and they'll give you a stamp. And then if you collect all like 5, 6, 7 stamps or whatever, you get a little, it can be a badge ribbon or a button or a magnet from each of the artists as like a thank you. And I don't think it really costs anything. I've never done it personally, but like, I don't think it costs anything. It's just like hey, just come see me.
Right. That's so cool.
Hopefully that leads to some sales for them. But for the attendees, it's a really cool game. And like badge ribbons are a huge part of that for them because they're not very expensive, but it's a good way to
just get people.
Right.
Yeah. Just
and then that person is wearing your badge ribbon all around the.
Yeah. We see a lot of vendors do things like they'll kind of make it into almost like a business card, like a little bit more of a fun way for people to remember it by. Because usually people will save their badges and they save all the ribbons that are attached to their badge. And now they have your brand there for however long they keep it for. So some people even, I think, will like take their badge ribbon stack and like bring it to the next event that they go to too. That's why, because some people on day one had like 50 badge ribbons already. I was like, how did you end up with that?
Those are cheaters.
I know. Like, no, you have to have a new stack. I was curious, like, when it comes to sponsors, do you usually seek them out or do they come to you? Is it kind of like exhibitors turn into sponsors, or how does that?
It kind of depends. So like, obviously you guys approached us and that was amazing. And we loved every single aspect of it. But sometimes we'll reach out to corporations and be like, hey, we think that this could be a good business relationship. Like we don't even necessarily like for us, sponsors are not necessarily monetary. They're like, hey, we need somebody that would be able to help us with our staff shirts. Like if you give us a discount on staff shirts, we can work out something that we can, give you a booth or a hotel room, badges, whatever it is. And like we really only approach sponsors if we think it's going to be mutually beneficial for the both of us. We don't ever want to be like, yeah, just hand us money. Like
right. And it seems
great,
like you guys also do a really good job of like not necessarily just having these set packages where it's like, if you pay this much, this is what you get. But you kind of, at least with us, I know you were like trying to figure out what would be the most beneficial for us, like as an individual organization that might be different depending on who it is. Because for us, obviously, we wanted to do some promoting like before the event started because we wanted people to be able to order their badge ribbons ahead of time, but that might not be relevant to other sponsors. And so I think you guys did a really good job of like kind of catering that sponsorship package to the individual organizations better than just kind of making everyone like a monolith, I guess. So
yeah, it doesn't really make sense to me to put everything into like a cookie cutter. Like we have like, here are some base things that we've done in the past, but if you're giving us money, if you're giving us something that we need to put on our things, we want to make sure that you're also fulfilling your needs because we want the experience to be as beneficial as possible for both ends so that there's kind of an equal exchange.
For sure.
So for us, it's we generally start off almost all of our sponsorships with let's hop into a 30-minute meeting. Let's talk about what are your goals for sponsoring us? What do you want to get out of it? What would be most beneficial for you? We have a newsletter that goes out to 25,000 people once a month. Do you want that kind of promotion? Do you want to promote on our socials? Do you want to spot on our website? Do you want the million impressions that comes from being a rotating banner in our guidebook for everybody that downloads that to navigate our platform?
One thing, and I talked about at the beginning, is like the pressure to create a bigger and better event every single year. I'm wondering if you could just talk a little bit about that and how you kind of approach it and how you maybe like filter out some of the maybe noise that you hear sometimes of people like talking about that and kind of like egging people on, things like that.
There's always the pressure to do bigger and better every year. And a lot of that has to come with, man, I'd love to give that to you. I ain't got that kind of money. And that's, we are very unique when it comes to anime conventions and being very transparent with our attendees. And like, we had to raise badge prices this year. Well, the convention center just finished their giant renovation. Yeah. Costs are going to go up. If you want Anime Milwaukee to continue, I have to charge you more. I'm really sorry. There's nothing I can do with that. I can't continue to pass that on to vendors and artists because they have to make money too. Like, so the only way that we make money is badge sales and vendor and artist booth fees, and both went up this year. So that's something that we tell the attendees, like, hey, we would love to make that idea happen. It's really great. It's not something that we can financially do right now, but maybe once we get a little bit bigger, we'd love to do that.
For sure. The transparency is big.
Yeah. It's something that a lot of anime conventions really don't do. And sometimes it bites us.
Right.
Sometimes we're too transparent, and sometimes I'm sitting in my office going, oh, I really wish I had never opened my mouth. But that also means that they hold us accountable too. So if they see something that they think is ridiculous, then they're going to tell us, and that kind of helps guide where we go. And you have to take some of the comments with a grain of salt of like, they're just people that are going to be really mad for the sake of being mad. And
yeah, some people are just naysayers in general, and you kind of have to filter that out a little bit.
There's always like 2 or 3 that I see the comments, I see their names come up, and I just go, oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah.
Or oh yeah, again. Okay.
Right.
But
it seems like most people are pretty understanding. Like if you are transparent, I feel like for the most part, people can be like, okay, I get it. Like I understand why these are, if we want a bigger and better event, bigger and better events are going to cost more money. That's just kind of the nature of things. But
yeah, if you want that very expensive Japanese voice actor, then you go pay more.
They're not cheap to bring to Milwaukee for sure.
No.
That's a great point. And then lastly, we chatted about this like last week a little bit. Convention planning. Obviously, you said there's not a lot of money in it. And it's stressful. So what I guess like words of advice would you give someone who might be interested in planning a convention?
Do you want me to be really, really honest?
Let's be really honest, and then maybe a little bit less.
The very first thing I tell to anybody that's like, oh, I want to start an anime convention of my own, and they have no anime convention running experiences, don't do it. And I don't even say that because I don't want another anime convention to compete with. That's not it at all. It's, if you've never done this before, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're getting yourself into. There are so many things that you cannot possibly think of until they happen. Like going back to Anime Milwaukee, my very first year at Anime Milwaukee, somebody stole a U-bend from a toilet.
That's definitely would not expect that.
Right. That's not a thing that somebody that has never been to an anime convention before would ever think of planning for.
Right.
However, I did plan for that.
That's impressive.
Not necessarily like that specific
you had
incident.
A spare U-bend.
No, I don't carry random U-bends around with me, but like I had a plan in place with the convention center for like emergencies of that, and I had an escalation plan. So if somebody's like, hey, I want to get into this, great. Start as a general staffer and then work your way up. Spend a couple of years in the dregs with the people that sit outside the panel rooms checking badges, and you're gonna be bored out of your mind, and it's fine.
Right.
Like start there and then slowly work your way up and work as many different conventions as you can financially afford to, because we, like Anime Milwaukee takes really good care of its staff, but some other conventions can't afford to. Like I think on average we spend about $700-800 per volunteer per weekend.
Right.
Times 400 staff.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But that's a lot. But we, you know, most conventions are just like a badge and a t-shirt kind of benefit. We don't do that. We give them more. But like, you know, staff as many as you can financially afford to. Start with the local ones and then kind of slowly branch your way out and work in every single different division and find out where your strengths are and what you can do. And then if you decide that you are enough of a masochist, do not do this alone. Find friends that have the financial capital to help you, because you are not going to make money for the first 10 years of doing this.
Right.
It is not a get rich quick scheme. And then get a really good lawyer, a really good accountant, and then be prepared to have a lot of heartbreak first.
Yeah. And have a good like emergency plan, like an emergency action plan.
Have
like
a really good emergency action plan. Talk to your convention center. Find a convention center that's going to work with you instead of against you, because I've heard horror stories of a couple of different convention centers that just do not want anime conventions.
Right.
And that's fine. Whatever.
Yeah. Right. Find a different one. I was gonna say, I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean, like, whatever, but
they're probably scarred from the early 2000s Naruto run days.
Yeah, maybe so.
But you know, like, if you're going to do it correctly. Find people that know what they're doing. Protect yourself first, and do not ever put anything in your name. Form an LLC.
That's a great point as well. That's a really good point.
Don't ever put it on your credit.
Yeah, I mean, because we've seen like the disasters that have happened with, I mean, like the Dash Cons or like that
Fire
Wonka,
Fest,
the Wonka experience.
That
like, you never know like what's gonna go viral if something goes bad enough. TikTok is very like clings on to those types of things. So
I can't imagine DashCon in the TikTok era.
No, me neither. It was bad enough as it was just on Tumblr. I remember those days. It
was not great.
No. I think that's honestly great advice. Like, it's not, like you said, it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's something where you have to be super passionate about it and be willing to dive in and learn and adapt and
be very humble.
Yeah, be humble.
You will be humbled very quickly if you go into this thinking, "Oh, I know better than every other anime convention that's ever happened ever."
Yeah.
Nope.
Not a thing. There's just not a thing for sure. Awesome. Well, okay. I think that's about all I wanted to cover. So thank you so much for this. Was super fun episode and super fun to talk to you about all this, because cons are just like such a unique beast when it comes to event planning.
They are.
But I think that any event planner can learn so much for just like the unique ideas and the ways that people get involved and the ways attendees kind of like latch on to fun, unique things like the Polkalator. I think there's a lot that people can get from you and from other convention planners. So thank you for coming on and taking the time.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And before we go, is there anything that you wanted to plug? Any like Anime Milwaukee announcements or personal announcements, anything?
Okay, so fun thing, Anime Milwaukee officially turns 18 this year.
Nice,
And
it's an adult.
Yeah, we this actually, the shirt that I'm wearing is from our Anime Milwaukee Super Sweet 16.
Nice. Oh my God, that's so cute.
Everything was candy themed.
Oh.
So we did a Super Sweet 16, and then this coming convention year is our 18th in-person convention. We don't count the digital year as like an in-person con. So for our 18th year, we're kind of graduating from our previous Anime Milwaukee branding, and by the time this comes out, we will have announced that we have a brand new rebrand coming out. So it's a really beautiful redesign of the Anime Milwaukee logo. It's totally different than it was before. And it features the People's Flag of Milwaukee. So it's not the city of Milwaukee, like actual official flag, because I don't think anybody actually uses that.
Yeah, right.
I don't even think Milwaukee uses it.
I don't think so either. We need a better one. Like Chicago uses theirs. That's just like a side tangent.
But so the People's Flag of Milwaukee, it's got like the three rivers running into a really beautiful sunset. And it kind of really, like, we took a lot of reflection from that of like, well, what does AMKE stand for as a brand? And it's warmth and community and acceptance and like a really warm, vibrant place to be. And the People's Flag of Milwaukee really like resonated with us with that, of like that rising sun and the warmth that came from it. So we utilized the People's Flag of Milwaukee in our rebrand.
That's awesome.
And in our new logo. And the new, I don't think the new mascots are going to be out by the time this launches, but we have Millie and Walker are being completely redesigned, and I can't give away any spoilers on that one, but they I think I've shown you. They look absolutely adorable, so I'm really excited. So stay tuned for those. And
definitely, so some really fun announcements coming up.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Cool. I'm excited. I'm super excited to see. I have not seen the new logo, so I'm pumped for that. But that's so fun. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. And if anyone has any questions, ideas, questions for Kris or Anime Milwaukee, you can always shoot us an email at eventconnection@pcnametag.com. We'll answer questions on Instagram or TikTok, anything like that. And if you have ideas for future episodes too, you can also reach out to us about that. So again, thank you again for coming. We've had a really good time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and hope to do this again.
Yes, absolutely. Well, we'll be at Anime Milwaukee next year for sure. So
yes,
we won't be
I love to hear it.
Yes, awesome. Cool. Well, thanks for tuning in. Talk next time.
Bye, guys.